Danielle, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jabron.
Yes, and I want the viewers and listeners to experience you, to find out more about you, because I think you are one of those people that I like to interview. I like to be in conversation with people that I think uh, are committing their lives to the evolution of consciousness and culture at a time when that is the only choice that we have if we're going to make it out of the hole the species seems to be digging for ourselves. When I think about you as an artist, I think about you as a communication strategist, I think about you as a friend. And there's a number of things I want to cover, but I would love to start by learning more about the part of your work that is turning you on right now. What is capturing your creative imagination? What are you making real in the world?
Mm-hmm. In terms of the work I'm doing in the world, right now, where I find myself is mostly working with communications teams, communicators, fundraisers, people who have a story that they want the whole world to know about. And I'm either working with them to help get their teams flowing, collaborating, working creatively together to get to the best product.
Mm-hmm.
Or I find myself working directly with teams and individuals around what is the tone of their voice.
Mm.
And in these times, when somebody comes through with an authentic voice, it echoes for miles because we're in shallow times of communication.
Right.
And so when somebody comes through with depth, when somebody comes through with truth, that's the best chance we have of shifting hearts and minds, which is really where we need to be going with communications, is around, what are people talking about at home? What are they talking about at their dinner table? What is being talked about in the church basement? Really taking the focus away from what's being discussed on social media platforms or, in the depths of the New York Times comment thread. I want to know what neighborhoods and communities and families are saying to one another, because through that, we actually have access to generational change. Right now, we can instantly change the conditions that are in this world so that children are more comfortable. Adults can sit down together and have difficult conversations and disagree about some things, and actually, I think, probably agree on a whole lot more, whereby the generation that's coming up has better conditions.
Well, there's so much there. There's a couple of questions that immediately pop to mind, and I'll name one and then share a reflection. One of them is, what do you think it takes, right, to access our authentic voice, right? Because I think that's really precious work, important work. What I wanted to share, and I've been thinking about doing a reflection like this in one of my live videos, is I only just started watching the Simon Bolivar miniseries, which is extremely long on Netflix. And what I'm intrigued by right now is they have him as a kid. And as a kid, they have him listening into the conversations of those who wanted independence. Right, and so we know that then he grows up to be the general that gets Creole independence. By Creole, I mean like the independence of like the white folk from Spain. But it just seems I've been thinking about the generational nature of these struggles, so I just wanted to name that. I think that is such a healthy way to think about things. Like, how are we going to impact generations to come, and how we have been prayed into being by previous generations. So that's just something that sparked up as you were speaking. But I do want to know about this authentic voice piece. How do we dig for it in ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I have a quick one on intergenerational voice, and then I'll go to authenticity.
Yeah.
I edited a film called Walk on My Own that's told from the perspective of a 13 at the time, year old girl, Ende Fatou Fall. She's based in Senegal in a community called Kirsambara that, through partnership with Tostan, an NGO based in Senegal, actually chose to abandon female genital cutting and child marriage. And for Ende Fatu, she had the opportunity to interview all of these elders and ask them how did they do it. And when she was interviewing the imam, who's also her grandfather in the village, one of the things he said that really struck me was that just a few years ago, within a decade, within a small time frame, she would not have been allowed to question him because she was a child and because she was a girl. And he publicly reflected how, through learning and thinking and watching, his perspective changed on that. He no longer believes that children should not have a voice. He no longer believes that girls should not be able to ask questions. And not only did his own beliefs shift, but he then felt compelled to walk from village to village to tell all of what he considers his surrounding family that these practices are unacceptable and that he's actually experienced a different way of doing it and that worked out better.
Wow.
And I think that whatever it is that's blocking adults from being able to connect with children and all of the age spectrum in between is a huge piece of remedy to what we're dealing with here. All the generations need to be working together. We've just lost the ability to sit in discomfort and disagree, and to really care so much, to be so connected to our shared fate that it is impossible for me to imagine you not being in my community. I must continue to find a way to connect with you.
Right.
Our fate is shared, right? And we've just lost I would not say we have lost, but I think that we really, as a culture, we need to double down on listening and double down on seeing in every situation how our fate is shared. Because when you look at it from an ecological perspective, our fate is shared.
Yes, unquestionably.
Like there's one kind of air in this room right now.
Right.
We are sharing it.
Right.
And the more that cultural practice can take us there, I think the better chance that we have of actually having a groundbreaking, inspirational, transformational moment whereby we as humans figure out how to live on the planet. We don't currently, the whatever is going to bring us there is not currently happening, right? Something that we cannot see right now is going to come through and bring us back into balance with the planet.